I knew this was coming. There were warnings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into CrushTheStreet.com. I am Kenneth Amaduri. Let's get right into it. Tonight, we got the Republican debate, and the last one right before Iowa here. And you know what? Trump has decided to skip out on the debate, and I gotta give the guy some credit because it is a power move. Not everybody can make that sort of statement and actually get away with it. We haven't seen what has happened yet, but I tend to think that he's gonna get some momentum for this because this is the kind of action and personality and characteristic of Trump that people are being attracted to. They like the fact that he doesn't care who he's offending. He can stand up to the special interests and do what he feels is right. And I'm curious. I mean, it's just, this is like the Super Bowl for me. We got the Super Bowl in a couple weeks, but this is more entertaining to me than the actual Super Bowl, is watching them play this political chess game. And I tend to think Trump is actually going to gain some momentum from this, and kind of lending to the fact that he doesn't care who he offends. I mean, this is a Fox News debate, and Fox is typically conservative leaning, and Trump is going head on against a news source who otherwise would be a little more friendly to his opinions and policies and agendas, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he is, who he's offending, and he's going to run a televised debate in direct competition with the actual debate, and he's going to donate the proceeds to wounded veterans. And I tend to think that people are going to be watching what he does and not paying attention to the actual debate. And we'll see what happens. Again, for me, this is more entertaining than the Super Bowl. I will be watching this and seeing what happens tonight. I don't think that whoever becomes president is actually going to make much of a difference. Let's get right into the meat and potatoes. The stock market at the moment is up over 100 points as I do this video. But it's been otherwise down for the year, as we've been reporting. Yesterday was actually down, the Dow Jones down 222 points, roughly about 1,500 points for the year, and over 11% from the high that we saw last year. And the significance of this is, one of the things that I had said, I had written about, is that I believe that we are going to see a 20% correction in the stock market in 2016 from the high that we saw in 2015. Now, that might sound a little conservative in terms of how bad things are, but I do believe that we are going to see the Federal Reserve, the governments, they're going to do everything they can to prop it up, and if they can, keep it from collapsing. And we might see it go much lower because, truthfully, it deserves to be so much lower, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to go that much lower if they can do anything to prevent it. But we have seen the global markets burst at the seams. We've talked about that. The Baltic Dry Index is continuing to fall month after month, day after day. And as I do this video, I seem to, every time I look at the Baltic Dry Index, it's hitting a new low, lower than its inception. We are below its inception valuations, 337. I mean, it was bad when it was at 500. And we are today, the Baltic Dry Index is down 2.3% as I make this video at 337. Right now, oilprice.com has crude oil, the WTI, at 33.77. And we saw a little dead cat bounce from the low that we had seen. I mean, it went below the $30 mark. It was in the $20 range, the high 20s, and we saw it bounce back. So this is, in my opinion, a dead cat bounce. I do believe that this trend can continue. We can continue to see $20 per barrel oil, in the 25, into the 20. and possibly even into the teens. I mean, this has been such a strong trend that we could see it get pretty bloody out there. Now, because oil has collapsed, more than 70%, going from $100 to $30, depending on when you want to kind of start the collapse from. Obviously, we know it's been closer to $150 if you go back to before the '08 crisis. But just talking in its most recent sustained high, oil is down over 70%, and yet we're still paying in California like $2.65, $2.70 a gallon, and this is Southern California for the cheap stuff. And I know that has a lot to do with taxes and fees and kind of what the oil companies are doing with the refining, holding supply back and manipulating it, because we saw the price per barrel collapse by 70%, but did we see the actual price per gallon go down that much? No, not exactly. So there's definitely some cost price manipulation going on behind the scenes, and we got to definitely do some more digging on that information. So we got some major news when it comes to gold and precious metals. We are at new record lows with COMEX gold inventory. Right now, there's only 2.3 metric tons of registered gold left in the vaults, and this has put the COMEX bank leverage ratio to a new all-time high of 542 to 1. And if you recall, it was at 300 to 1, 120 to 1. We are at 542 to 1. This is substantial news for precious metals. It's showing that the demand is there for gold. People are buying it. People want it. But they are expanding the amount of paper that is out there and diluting the price to control gold downwards. And this is very significant news and an indication that when we see these extremes, they may not be able to keep it under control for very much longer. And if we do see a run on the COMEX, what we will see with the price could be rather substantial. So big news when it comes to gold, the precious metals, 73% drop in the registered category this week. So big news, 542 to 1. We'll keep you updated on it. Now, believe it or not, the Fed is still showing signs or emitting confidence that they will raise rates in March, but they did hint that they made a policy error from raising rates in December. I don't think they were expecting the markets to react the way they did, global growth to be as slow as it has been, and for there to be such a direct impact to stocks when they did raise interest rates. Maybe if it happened a few months later, but just the simple fact that we saw interest rates go up and then such an immediate response from the market, I don't think Janet Yellen was expecting that. So them raising rates in March, that's a tough one. I mean, if the stock market does actually start going up from here into March, we could probably see them raise rates, but I really doubt they're going to be able to do that in this environment. But in any rate, I mean, I don't think it matters. I think we're too far gone, but they will try to manage this the best way they can. And I don't think we're going to see rates go up anymore in 2016, especially without a major shakeup or ongoing shakeups in the stock market. So let's talk briefly about the Oregon standoff. We have one dead. Robert Lavoy Finicum, 55-year-old Arizona rancher, has now been shot. And it's tough to say from the reports because of the exact details being somewhat muddied up. But reports are saying that he had his hands up and was fired upon by law enforcement. This was according to one witness, and the incident stemmed from the militiamen occupying an unmanned federal wildlife refuge in protest of property rights abuses alleged against the federal government in this area. So one person was injured and a total of 8 were arrested with the help of the FBI. And so this is big news. People will get extreme. They'll stand up for their beliefs, and the more extreme the government gets, the more resistance they'll see from the people. People want their liberty. They want their rights. They want to be left alone. And this is one of the reasons why President Obama wants to continue to come after the guns of the people. They want to take that away because they know that guns are for the purpose of protecting the people from the government. It's not just about going hunting. It's not just about shooting it in your backyard if you're in the rural community. It's about protecting the citizens from an oppressive government. It's what the country was founded on. This is an example of what happens when the government reaches over too far, pisses people off, people resist, and people die, unfortunately. So I definitely can see this happening more and more. And, you know, I hate to say it, but I mean, more people might end up losing their life standing up for what they believe in. Yeah, I mean, it's a sad but true fact. We've seen that happen throughout history. And the more extreme the government gets, the more we will see this. So Bitcoin has seen some ongoing volatility for the last 2 weeks. We've seen it under $400 a coin. And this correction actually did happen after Bitcoin developer Mike Hearn made a statement in a controversial article where he dramatically suggests that Bitcoin in its current form is over. But obviously Bitcoin is not dead. It's still being largely used. And this article did have an impact on the industry. And you can watch our video where we have the full reading of the article there. But we are sticking with our price target. We do believe Bitcoin is going to continue to rise, and the demand for it will overcome these statements, even from an insider. But the volatility, no doubt, will exist and be an ongoing concern in this digital currency, but it's still a very viable alternative for investing outside of the current system. If you missed any of our interviews, be sure to watch them. You can visit and get caught up at crushthestreet.com for all our live interviews and more information that we put out on a regular basis. So everyone, be prepared, be safe, be informed. We'll talk to you soon.